Hello, my name is Yosef Wilson, though I go by Yossi, and this is my video submission for the Queensryche Best Rant contest. Alright, now we're here to talk today about Frequency Unknown. Geoff Tate has issued a challenge to all the haters to come out from behind our keyboards and tell him to his face why we dislike this album. Well, I've got nothing better to do tonight, so might as well take up the challenge. Alright, now before I get to the big issue that caused a lot of the smaller issues, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the cover art. Queensryche has always been known as the thinking man's metal band, rightly or wrongly, and this cover art with the fist with FU written across it, frankly just goes against that entire concept. That's not funny, that's not clever, it's just stupid and insulting. I mean, there's no reason for that, and that is not what the Queensryche name should be associated with. I get it that it's intended as a statement to your former bandmates, but it comes off as your statement to the fans, too, and that's not how you want to approach the people who you want to buy your album. But to be fair, this could hardly be the first time that terrible cover art could hide a fantastic album, so let's go to what's important, the music. Now, this is not a fantastic album. Frankly, it's a turd. In fact, I've got a buddy here, my cat friend Jake, and frankly, the hairball that he spit up the other day, more appealing than the music on here. Now, the big issue with this is the rushed nature, Jeff. You were determined to get an album out with the Queensryche name on it before your former bandmates did, and it seems like you were in such a big rush to do that that you didn't really concern yourself with whether what you got out would be worth putting out. And the rushed nature shows up in just about every aspect of the music. The songwriting is spotty. It ranges from mediocre to downright atrocious. There are spots of promise, but since you guys didn't really take the time to work with the songs, none of that promise or potential is lived up to. And frankly, none of it sounds like Queensryche. It sounds like subpar radio rock, which is not what the Queensryche name is about. Now, you also have the issue caused by the rushing that, as I said, a lot of the songs feel unfinished, and that shows through in the instrumentation. The instrumentation just sort of seems to be all over the place, especially the solos, which it seems like you basically just gathered up the solos and tossed one randomly into each song without any thought with how it would actually fit into the song. Now, the other issue is that this doesn't seem like the work of a band, and if you look at the credits, you see why. This is a collaboration of a huge number of musicians, none of whom actually worked on the entire album, aside from you. Of your touring band, the two guitarists who, aside from the vocals, have always been the most important element of Queensryche, your two guitarists, all that each of them does is one guitar solo, and that's the entirety of their contribution to this album. And then bass and drums, you also have multiple people playing. You have a number of well-known musicians who just basically mailed in solos for you to use. This isn't a band effort. This is another Geoff Tate solo album. And honestly, if you had labeled it as such, you might get a lot of people saying it sucked, but you wouldn't get nearly this much vitriol directed toward you, because the big problem is that this isn't a Queensryche hadn't and it doesn't feel like a Queensryche album. It doesn't feel like anything I'd like either, but I'd be more willing to forgive that if you hadn't thrown the Queensryche name on it. And now, that only pertains to the main album. But then we get to the worst part. The re-recordings. Geoff. Look, I know you've said in numerous interviews that you did it for the money. The record company asked you to do it, and they threw a bunch of money at you, so you said, "Yeah, the hell with it, I'll do it." But this only hurts your cause. I mean, you sound awful on all those recordings. Even worse than on the rest of the album, which there are numerous parts where you're a bit off-key, but here, where we have previous recordings that show us proof positive how the songs are supposed to sound, it's just dreadful. And the music on them sounds like a karaoke recording. It sounds like a bad cover band. It does not sound like Queensryche. And I'd say these recordings, more than anything else, hurt your case for your claim that you are Queensryche, because this is you recording songs that are definitively Queensryche, and you make them not sound like Queensryche. Now, there's also the issue of the very shoddy production, which helps with the thrown together feel of it, is that there's really no consistency in the production. And now, even your record label seems to know that there are issues with the production, because before the album was even released, they announced that they would be remixing it to deal with the production issues. But frankly, even if the remixes fixed all the production issues, which they don't, they fix some of them and cause some others, it still wouldn't make it a good album, because the songs are just bad. Like I said, they range from mediocre to awful, and they lean mostly toward the latter. But the worst part about the song quality is that they're not even interestingly bad. There are some metal albums that they're legendary for their badness, but honestly, I still like to throw them on occasion just to laugh at them. Stuff like Celtic Frost's Cold Lake or Morbid Angel's Elude Divinum Insanus, they reach that level of badness where you're just like, what the hell were they thinking? And you go back and you sort of listen to it to try to figure out what would possess them to do this. Yours doesn't do this. This isn't funny bad. It's just boring bad. I mean, by the end of it, I'm just like, it's just bad. I could barely make it to the end of it, and not just because I was cringing, but because I was cringing while feeling the need to take a nap. And it's just, if you're going to do something bad, at least do something interesting when you're doing it. Alright, so that about sums it up for the album, but I also just feel like I need to say a few words. First of all, Geoff, you really need to get some people around you who won't just agree to everything that you say. You need to get someone who you can play your ideas for, and they go, no, this is terrible, work on it. Because if this is the kind of product you're putting out now, surrounded by all these guys who you always work with, it's a clear indication that you need someone new. You also need a more competent record company, because like I said, that the re-record or the remastering fiasco followed by this contest that's basically trying to drum up a viral video to make people check it out to hear how atrocious it is. This is not the work of a competent record company. This is just stupid. And speaking of stupid, I also have an issue with this contest, which is that the prize is the chance to go see your band live. Now, pretty much everyone who would submit a video doesn't want to see your band live. They've chosen their side, and it's the other guys. So, I'm not really clear on why you think this is a prize we'd want to win. And in fact, I'm just submitting this to let you know how I feel. I couldn't even take the prize if I wanted to. I've already paid for a vacation on that day, so like I said, I just wanted to let you know how I feel and why we dislike this album. So, I hope this cleared things up for you. Oh, one last thing. You say you want us to come out from behind our keyboard, stop posting anonymously, and yet you already have a website where we do that on your Facebook page. But every time anyone says anything less than positive about you or the album, their comments get deleted and they get blocked. So if you really want us to be able to voice our opinions without hiding behind our keyboards, you might want to try changing that and letting people actually post their opinions on your Facebook page. Well, that's all I got. So, you have a good day. If you want to select me, whatever. I don't know, maybe I can cash it. I don't care. Bye.